Good afternoon and welcome to another Fresh Brew marketing video from my home office at Fresh Brew Marketing Headquarters HQ. Today I wanted to be chatting through 6 critical things that you as a business should be looking at and doing during this really weird lockdown quarantine period that we all find ourselves in. So often I am asked by the businesses that I work with and a lot of the businesses I work alongside, well, what should we actually be doing during this period? You know, should we even be marketing ourselves? Should we be planning for the worst? I don't even know if my doors are going to open after a month's time, let alone, you know, how do I look at my business strategy for the next year? So I thought I would put together some practical tips and advice based on some of the insights and information and thoughts that I've built up over the years that hopefully will be able to help you keep going and at least give you something to focus on while we try and figure all of this stuff out. So the first one I wanted to talk about was getting yourself organized. So very, very often, as a marketing consultant, I walk into a new client's business and the first thing I do is I ask them, where is their content folder? And they look at me with a blank stare on their faces. For any marketer, whether you employ them yourselves or whether you use a consultant like myself at Fresh Brew Marketing, content is the key to being able to transmit any business message accurately. Content isn't only just a funny picture or a puzzle or a video or a funny gif of someone doing something silly. Content is a much wider picture. It is anything that will help and enable you to transmit a message, a belief, a thought process to your audience and engage with them, giving them a point to engage with. Okay. So very often, I walk into a business and I sit down and I have a look at their folders and everything is just a mess. They have no customer references or testimonials. Their case studies are almost non-existent. They have a huge folder of photographs, amazing, and images, but there's duplication. Some are called different things. There's no orderly structures to how things are saved. Their videos all over the place. People, stuff is saved on individual computers and laptops, and there's no central database of brilliant content to be used. So the first thing I want to encourage you to do is during this time, go back and have a look and start getting organized. Start creating folders for yourself of critical themes for your business. So for example, if you're a restaurant, maybe go and have a look at all your photographs relating to breakfasts, all your photographs relating to vegan options, all your photographs relating to service-orientated messaging, all your case studies or all your testimonials referring to dinners or your wine selections or something like that. Okay, start organizing things pragmatically in a way that will allow you to transmit that message easily. Okay. Please always also be careful of keeping stuff just for the sake of keeping stuff. I usually call this digital hoarding. We often watch these shows on TV and we see these people who open a door and their house is floor to ceiling high with black bags of stuff, just storing stuff. Yes, okay, they're hoarders. But you know what? As humans as well, we are also at risk of something very, very similar that's just not so seen. It's called digital hoarding. It's keeping stuff and backups of backups and backups and backups of backups for the sake of keeping it in case. I myself do that myself. I mean, I have backups of laptops that I think I haven't used in 7-8 years, but still it's sitting on my hard drive and it's there in case I ever needed it. Not in any one of these 7 years have I ever needed to reference that backup of the laptop, but there it sits. So I do just want to encourage you. It's great to keep stuff as a kind of testament as to where you've been, comparison, all that kind of stuff, but keep it organized. And think about what you're doing and why you're doing and how you can use that in future. At the same time, while you're organizing, look at something a little bit more digitally too. So make sure that you have analytics installed. Obviously, the natural one that comes to mind is Google Analytics on websites, but make sure that you have access to insights on all your social media profiles, on any forums you belong to, anything that will give you insight as to how visitors view your content, how visitors behave on your website, what the typical behaviors are, who these people are, what they're doing, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy. So you want to look at things like, the traffic information. Do people visit your website? Do they arrive on your website on one page and immediately leave? Or do they arrive on your website, stay, sniffle around, click on a link, look at that page, go to another page, have another look? Okay, do they stay? Do they absorb? Because the more they absorb, the more their decision making is being made for them. Okay, so now that kind of stuff is going to give you valuable insight as to whether your website is delivering a service for your clients, whether the content you have on your website is the right stuff for your target audience, or whether there's more that you could be doing. And it's okay if you don't understand the analytics and you don't actually know what's right and what's wrong and what rates are acceptable. It's okay, because that's where people like me step in and help you understand that and translate that into actions and saying, okay, let's test this. I think this means like this, but let's test it. Let's change this. What happens? Okay. But start to familiarize yourself with things like click-through rates. How many people click on a link when you put something up? How many people like your post? How many people comment on your posts? All of that kind of stuff will give you an idea as to the type of audience you have. So get yourself organized in terms of digital analytics. You want to have a look at stuff that worked and stuff that didn't. So maybe go and have a look at some posts. You may have put some things out on social media, which to you may have been a very important post, but you were slightly let down when no one really engaged or reacted to it. Ask yourself why. It might be the time of day you posted. It might be what you said. It might be that you post too much and it just got lost in the blurb. It might be that you've got a completely wrong audience or different audience listening to you. It might be that you have a non-existent audience. All of that kind of stuff is valuable stuff and information that will help you to be able to grow your brand. So you don't need to post a single post. You don't need to do anything right now, but you get yourself organized. Okay, the second thing kind of relates to this, and I call it the feeding your fodder folder. That's difficult to say if your lips are dry. But fodder is a great thing. So fodder content, okay? So now is a fantastic time to have a look at what you have that you could use at a later stage. So how many of your clients, or when was the last time you asked all your clients for a testimonial? And where did you save that information? Or are there some beautiful photographs of your business or your products or your staff or whatever that you could be taking now that you can add and save for a later date? Are there some key blog topics and things that you wanted to talk about and discuss that you just never had a chance to write about or think about? Start jotting that down. Lots of little things. Start working on things and collecting information that you could use at a later stage. So when all this is over, and it will be over, you will have a massive, healthy resource of stuff that you could use to transmit your message and grow your business. The third topic that I want to chat about is quite a huge thought in itself. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I want you to think about your teams. Okay. We live in a rapidly changing environment, and this coronavirus thing has been such a testimony to large organizations and small organizations, their ability to adapt quickly or not. Okay. I remember I used to work for an organization a few years ago where we were cutting edge technology wise, always forefront of innovation, trying to think and act smartly and work smartly and all that kind of thing. But there was a fundamental problem with people working remotely and working from home. And it boiled down to a lack of trust, in my opinion. And unfortunately, when the coronavirus hit and we were all forced to work remotely, as far as possible, many organizations didn't have the choice. Many organizations had to adapt. They had to rely on that infrastructure. They had to rely on the teams that they'd employed. They had to rely on their endless mind maps and flow charts and diagrams of how processes should work to see whether all that work really paid off. And so far, a lot of the companies that I've met with, and certainly that I've dealt with, that seems to be going along okay. Touch wood. But I think it goes beyond this. I think it's unfortunate that it took a massive virus like COVID-19 to force us into a behavior change when actually we should have been doing this a long time ago. We've been speaking about the networked organization or the lattice organization or a remote working or a growth organization. We've been speaking about all those kinds of words and jargon busters for so long, and people have written books about it, and yet this COVID-19 has been the time when we've been forced to put our money where our mouth is and put that into practice. So agility has been absolutely critical to making all of this work. And I think that's where us as independent consultants who are now used to working by ourselves, you're in my office, this is my office, for me to ensure that my clients have what they need from me, I need to be agile. I need to be engaged. I need to be feeding into their greater team plans. And that's when I say, when you think about your organization, I would really encourage you to stop thinking about your employees. Think about your suppliers and your service partners, because for many of them, like myself, they form just as much a part of your organization as your paid full-time employees do. When I work with a client, I refer to the business, my client's business, as our business. We. It's an inclusive metaphor, not because I'm trying to be facetious. It's because I literally believe in growing the organization, because if my client does well, it means I'm doing my job. If my client is growing, then I benefit from that. So in my mind, there is no separation between yours and mine, your business, your organization, your message. Yes, to a point, a line has to be drawn and ownership and accountability has to be taken. But there is something about collaboration which makes an independent consultant like me feel part of a much bigger scheme. And I want to encourage you that as you start to think about what your teams look like once this is all blown over, think about how you can involve and engage your service providers, your suppliers, your consultants, whatever you call them, as part of your larger organization, because a lot of them will want to be far more engaged than you're allowing them to be. And unfortunately, a lot of your own employees don't really want to be that engaged. And certainly what I have found in my experience is working both sides of the coin. So working as an employed person dealing with suppliers, and now finding myself on the opposite side of that spectrum, working as a supplier. There is only benefit that can come from engaging your suppliers, your consultants, your service providers, working with them in a partnership as opposed to a supplier relationship. The next thing I want to talk about is a question that is asked so often, and so many marketing people debate this. Should we keep communicating? Should we keep promoting ourselves? Should we keep marketing our message? People won't have a lot of money to spend now. People will get irritated because they're worried about their own health and well-being. Should we be promoting and flaunting ourselves as if we don't really care? I say you should absolutely be communicating. This time has never been more critical for you to communicate than now, to keep communicating than now. But I'm saying rethink what you are saying. Rethink the way that you are promoting yourself. Rethink the typical things that you're saying, because we are not the same businesses as we were 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. We are not the same, and our messages should not be either. There is a fine line between flippancy and hopefulness. And your audience will see through fake in under 3 seconds. They will see through any kind of false sense of happiness or false sense of encouragement as a mere ploy to get you to buy their products again. Your audience is much smarter than you give them credit for. But I say keep communicating. Take a much more endearing tact. Show them your humanity. Show them your personality. It's okay to admit if you're really struggling. It's okay. Don't moan. Don't complain about it. Don't go on about it. But it's okay to show your weakness and to show your fallibility. Every business is struggling. Most of them, caveat, I can't make such a blanket statement. Most businesses are struggling.